That's a good question. I've never really thought about PTSD in fighting. But yeah, there are some like some traumatic things that go on. I've had some happen to me, you know. And I think there's play in the back of your head, but then I think it all depends on like the fighter's preparation. As long as you're putting in the work and you're putting yourself in those dangerous positions, you're whether it's in, you know, maybe not your strongest suit like jujitsu or wrestling or boxing, kick, whatever it may be. If you're putting yourself in the dangerous positions and you're getting better, you're evolving, then maybe that, you know, just the more prepared you are, it's like you're not going to be as nervous. But if you're not doing anything, like if you're not putting in like the road work, you're not putting in the technique or the lifting or whatever you should be doing, like if you're second guessing something, then I think, yeah, PTSD could play be a huge factor in an upcoming fight, especially if you've had some, you know, gnarly injuries or crazy fights or something like that. So yeah, I definitely think it can play into it, but that's why I'm always trying to do more than my opponent. Like I'll do so much, and I'm on such like a strict regimen. And once I map out my camp, like training, and then I'm working with my dietitians and all these things, like I am like just 100% into this and like obsessed with it. Like I won't veer from the path at all, just because then I just think I'm not doing enough or I'm not prepared. But I never go into a fight thinking that way really because I know what I'm doing. I'm doing everything 100%.
You know, I feel like it probably does for some, you know, honestly. You know, everybody's emotionally different, mentally different. You know, and it's not only, I don't feel like it's only what's going on in the fight, but what's going on around themselves in their life, you know, that kind of make, you know, the fight feel a lot more, or, you know, the loss feel a lot deeper. So, you know, yeah, I definitely think it's probably out there. You know, it just depends on the person. You know, a lot goes into factor with it.
You know, I don't know. Like, I know when I got injured for my last fight, and when I did come back to training and I got put into that position in like live training, you know, I was like, my heart rate went up, and I was just like, oh crap, you know, like went back there. But like once you overcome that, like it's all mental too. Like that, all that stuff is mental, and if you're able to overcome that mentally, then you'll never think about it again. And I think the same with like wars. My first fight with Invicta was like a really good war with my opponent Sana, and I look back on that and know that I'm able to do that. Like I have that in my back pocket. Like I can dig deep, you know? So I don't think there's like PTSD or anything, but like being able to overcome those is important, because you could let it crush you and just be like terrified to get back to put into our bar and freeze, and then now you're tapping again, you know? So it's like you have to overcome that in training, like putting yourself into that position and overcoming it rather than just like avoiding it.
Wow, that's the answers that I get from fighters are incredible for that question. You know, you just gave me
Yeah.
a totally different perspective of like anybody has said.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I had ACL surgery, like I know people were like, "Oh, it's going to be hard for you to come back from that," or this and that. Like, people don't come back, or like whatever. People would talk about that, and for me, like because people were talking and bringing that up, I made it at a point to that every time I stepped on the mat, I didn't think, I never had surgery. My knee's good. I'm healthy. I'm 100%. Like that's the mindset I had. I never once thought about my knee coming back from surgery. Not once in training. I just blocked it out and I was like, yeah, I'm good. You know, like my knee's fine, you know? So I think it's like, it's very much all mental.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, you probably don't feel it now, but you probably feel it later, you know? And that is kind of something scary, but I don't want to be thinking about it. You know, I just want to take one fight at a time, one fight at a time. I mean, you know, one fight at a time. And if anything ever come up about that, like with my situation, like if something happens, then I think it'd be probably time for me to, you know, hang it up, you know? But until then, I'm going. I mean, you know, this is me, you know?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you see PTSD in like a lot of different ways in as far as the losses. I mean, these losses could have affected me, but then I look back at it, it's like, dude, nobody even beat me. I mean, like nobody really like really beat me, you know. So it's like it's hard to like say like, or not even a loss. Some people's like mixing up the Danny Chavez fight as a loss. I'm like, he didn't beat me. You know, he got a draw because of a point deduction, which is like you I mean, you take that away, then I mean you don't beat me, or you don't even, it's not a tie. And a TJ Brown fight, you know, it's like, so it's like, but like it could have affected, like, oh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? You know, like that's post traumatic stress. And then the UFC, you know, waiting to resign, or you know, that could get to you, or even just contact alone can get to you. You see the stress in different ways. I think and luckily I don't have PTSD at that moment, but it was a rough patch. It was a rough patch to where I was more frustrated, like, what, how are you not going to re-sign me? There's 3 guys on the roster still yet that didn't beat me, you know. Like that's the thing that was getting to me. And I you know, I had my own sense of frustration in it. Is like, there's 3 guys that I fought that are still on the roster that didn't beat me, and which is crazy because they're still gonna fight, and I'm glad for them. I'm glad because they have the opportunity to compete at the highest level. But that just trips me out, you know. And then that was getting to me. That was affecting me mentally. Even after I was signing Bellator, I was thinking back to myself, like, there's 3 guys that still didn't even beat me on there. I was like that. I mean, so yeah, I do feel that PTSD comes in like a lot of ways in the sport. I mean, through getting banged up, through the results, through like finances. I mean, it's real. I would say it's real. I mean, because it could affect a lot of people. And I mean, the problems with any combat sports or just life in general can affect you in different ways.
Thank you guys for watching the video to the end. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the like button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of the content that we're putting out. We got a lot of things in the works, so please stay tuned.